You're standing in a torch-lit dungeon beneath the great palace of Constantinople. A man is on his knees. He has served the emperor loyally for decades. He is not going to be executed. That, in Byzantium, would have been too simple. You'll see the moment a blinded old man walks back into the palace he was thrown out of and takes the throne. You'll find out that Byzantine emperors deliberately kept their rivals alive and exactly why that habit destroyed them. And you'll learn why historians still can't agree on whether Basil Lekapenos was a victim, a genius, or something far stranger than either. The Byzantine Empire had a problem with killing people. Not a reluctance toward violence, they had plenty of that. The problem was more specific. They didn't like killing rivals outright. Execution was theologically messy. It invited blood guilt. It inflamed factions. So Byzantine emperors developed an alternative: blinding. Remove a man's eyes, and he cannot legally rule. He cannot command armies. He cannot sit on the sacred throne. In theory, he becomes nothing, politically neutralized, filed away. Think of it like a hard drive you've wiped, still sitting on the shelf, inert, no longer a threat. This logic was applied hundreds of times across Byzantine history. And it backfired, spectacularly, more often than anyone in the palace seemed to learn. Here's the part I keep coming back to. The Byzantines were extraordinarily sophisticated people. Their bureaucracy was meticulous. Their theological arguments ran to thousands of pages. And yet, generation after generation, they kept releasing blinded men back into a court built entirely on manipulation, memory, and personal alliance. They wiped the hard drive and put it back on the network. To understand how badly this could go wrong, you need to meet Basil Lekapenos. His father was Romanos III, an emperor who had seized power as regent and pushed the legitimate heir aside. That made Basil technically imperial blood, inconvenient blood. Basil was castrated as a child, another Byzantine method of neutralization, and made a eunuch courtier. That was supposed to limit him. Eunuchs couldn't take the throne. They were considered outside the normal lines of succession. Instead, it gave him access to everything. Eunuchs in Byzantium ran the palace machinery: the chamberlains, the treasury officials, the keepers of the imperial seal, the men who actually knew where the money went and who owed whom what favor. Basil didn't just enter that world. Over the next several decades, he rose to the very top of it. By the middle of the 10th century, he was parakoimomenos, the man who slept outside the emperor's door, the most powerful non-emperor in the Byzantine world. So what did he do with that power? He accumulated, quietly, systematically. Some historians argue he controlled more private wealth than the throne itself. His network of informants and debtors ran from Constantinople to the provincial governors. He survived the reign of Constantine VII. He survived Romanos' son. Then came Nikephoros Phocas, a brilliant general who seized the throne in 963. And then John Tzimiskes, who assassinated Nikephoros and took power himself in 969. Basil served them both, adapted, persisted. He had been doing this for 40 years. But Basil II, the young emperor, not the eunuch, the one history remembers as the Bulgar slayer, had grown up. And he had noticed something. Basil Lekapenos was not a servant. He was a parallel government. In 985, the emperor moved against him. The charges were of conspiring with the Bulgars, the empire's most dangerous enemy at the time. Some historians find the evidence convincing. Others think it was a pretext. What is not disputed? Basil Lekapenos was stripped of everything, exiled, and his fortune, accumulated over half a century, was confiscated by the crown. He was not blinded, not yet. That came later, in 989, during the Great Rebellion of Basil Phocas, a general who came close, genuinely close, to toppling Basil II entirely. When the rebellion collapsed, the emperor went looking for everyone who had supported it. Basil Lekapenos had been in contact with the rebels. This time, the emperor had his eyes put out. And here is where most accounts end. An old eunuch, blinded, stripped of power, twice exiled, gone. Except he wasn't. The sources here get genuinely thin, and I want to be honest about that. What the chronicles preserve is fragmentary, but what they do preserve is astonishing. Basil Lekapenos, elderly, sightless, in exile, did not stop working. He still had people. Decades of accumulated relationships don't disappear when you lose your eyes. Letters moved, messengers traveled. He knew where the bodies were buried, figuratively, possibly literally. After Basil II died in 1025, the empire entered a period of rapid, destabilizing succession. The crisis of the 1020s and 1030s that historians sometimes call the undoing of everything Basil II had built. Emperors rose and fell. The military aristocracy battled the civilian bureaucracy. The court was, in short, exactly the kind of chaos that rewards people who know everyone's secrets. Ask yourself, who in Constantinople, in 1042, had the longest institutional memory of anyone alive? Who had personally watched 5 or 6 emperors rise and fall? Who had managed the palace finances, controlled the chamberlains, cultivated allies in every faction for 50 years? A blind old man in exile. The specific mechanics of his return are disputed. The sources are frustratingly vague on exact dates and sequences. But what the chronicles record is this: Basil Lekapenos returned to Constantinople. He was received at court. And for a period, brief but real, this man exercised something close to genuine imperial influence. The blinded eunuch, whom 2 emperors had tried to permanently neutralize, had outlasted them both and come back to the center of power. The wiped hard drive had been put back on the network, and it still had everything on it. What does this tell us about Byzantium? Not that the empire was incompetent, it wasn't. It tells us that Byzantine power was never actually located where it appeared to be. The throne, the purple robes, the elaborate ceremony, that was the surface. Beneath it ran a different system entirely: relationships, information, debt. A system that physical violence, blinding, exile, castration could not simply switch off. Because the empire ran on memory. Knowing that the general's brother owed money to the admiral's cousin. Knowing which bishop had written which letter to which rebel 15 years ago. That knowledge lived in people. And people, even blinded people, even exiled people, are remarkably difficult to delete. The Byzantines blinded their rivals to remove them from play. What they never fully reckoned with was that the game they were playing didn't require eyes. Basil Lekapenos died sometime in the 1040s. The exact date is lost. He left no dynasty, no lasting institution, no monument. What he left was a question that I find genuinely unsettling the more I think about it. If a blind, castrated, twice exiled old man could accumulate that much unrecorded power, how many others did exactly the same thing and left no trace at all in the chronicles? Subscribe. There are more files where this one came from.